Hello, greetings to everyone. Welcome to your show, Opinión Latina. My name is Jorge Rivas.
And I'm Betty Rivas.
Thank you for being with us once again. On this occasion, my wife is going to introduce her.
Well, we have a guest. We have 3 puppies. And this is the youngest one. And her name is Patona. Patona, smile for the camera.
How beautiful. Ultimately, we decided to name her Patona simply because her 4 legs are remarkably and exceptionally long.
Mine?
And we were very original.
Quote,
This item belongs to me.
definitely.
She is very
Sweet?
well behaved. She behaves very well. Very good little dog. Very
Good little dog. Very sweet. Very obedient. And she loves it when I put bows and dresses and everything on her. Like a real woman. Right, my love? My little boss lady.
because she really knows she's a woman.
She really knows she's a woman and she's a
A lady.
true lady. And she's going to shine in society, that's for sure. Right, my love?
Okay, getting into a bit more serious topic. Sadly, we're going to talk about it again. Now, let us speak about another tragic death, another loss of life that occurred during a violent confrontation, as we might describe it, between members of law enforcement, specifically federal agents who were working for ICE in the state of Minnesota, and unfortunately involving an individual who clearly did not need to be present at that location, a man who was
interfering with the work of the federal agents.
No, a man who could have been at home having a cup of coffee. I mean, I know it's already getting really cold. You know, what you crave when it's really cold out. And it's cold too, just imagine, already, staying at home. Well, if you're not working, if you have nothing to do, staying at home and having your cup of coffee.
Take a moment to relax and allow the winter storm and the falling snow to pass. And well, unfortunately, it happened again.
And
I think it's going to keep happening because I heard that there are a lot of people encouraging others to keep attacking and interrupting the work of ICE federal agents.
But let's go back a little bit. Why are there so many immigrants, let's say, in the United States? I know that throughout human history, we have migrated, people have migrated, humans have migrated from one place to the point of going in search of water, in search of food, in search of shelter, lodging, whatever you want. And we know that in the last 100 years, or to be more specific, the last 50 years, many people, especially from Latin America and also from around the world, from all over the world, have seen the United States and Europe, but especially the United States, as a magnet that attracts people because there is more work here. And also, the work here is paid better. But we know that the government or the Biden administration, for several reasons that we will try to mention, really opened the borders when he came into power in 2020, right? It was in 2020. And he said, I don't remember his exact words, but he said, immigration laws will not be enforced. We are not going to stop anyone at the border. And he basically said, anyone who wants to come while it is warmly welcomed. One of the most concerning and problematic issues we see there is that millions of people have crossed the borders and entered without the government ever knowing or recording who they truly were.
It was total chaos.
What are their names? Where do they come from? What are their objectives? What are their reasons for coming? Consequently, we have all witnessed chaos on a truly massive and overwhelming scale. And one of the primary things that deeply troubles and concerns both you and me to a great extent is that the national government took the hard-earned money we contribute as taxpayers and utilized it in ways we never intended.
Like with our work?
Our strength as taxpayers of taxes.
Yes, for the work we do and the taxes we pay.
So either way, the federal government and local authorities took our hard-earned money or printed an overwhelming amount of new currency, which caused, to a certain extent, significant and widespread economic instability and financial uncertainty across the country. So they took so much money from the public to be able to give to these people who were coming in, specifically to pay for their temporary housing, food, and essential lodging services.
In fact, they were given a credit card with money on it, from what I heard. And pretty much everything. I mean, they had food, they had a roof over their heads, and they had a card with extra money.
And not only that, but they were also put up in hotels, even 5-star ones. And we're talking here about big cities like, say, Chicago, New York, Miami. A 5-star hotel, we're talking at least $1,000 a night. So when you have hundreds of thousands of people that you have to house every night, feed them, and provide everything you've mentioned, I mean, it's such a huge expense.
A ton of money
that they simply wasted, because it's not like they let in so many people out of the goodness of their hearts. No. Because if they had really been good people who cared about letting immigrants from other countries in, they would have said, you know what? Go to each U.S. embassy in your respective country, get a permit, they'll ask you your name, check your criminal record, and then you can come in by plane. Yes, you know what I mean? With more order, you know? If they really wanted to help people they believed needed help.
Yeah, because a lot of those people who came from Venezuela and other places, a lot of people along the way died. Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said, it's not really that they wanted to help them, because a lot of people, all those people coming here, many died on the journey.
They died. Besides, it's also known that during the journey, women are raped.
Yeah, I mean,
their belongings are stolen.
Children were kidnapped too. They had their children taken, or children died. I mean, because it was days and days of exhausting walking. And it has been an incredibly arduous journey to finally get here.
So we know there are at least 3 main reasons why the Democratic Biden administration allowed so many millions of people to enter in such a short time. One of those reasons is that the more people there are in every state, but especially in Democratic states, like we're talking about California, Chicago, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, all of those, the more people there are, the more control they'll have in Congress when the population is counted in 2030. That's one reason. They already have a plan. I mean, they have a plan and people don't know it. They want more power in Congress. That's one reason. Another reason we know, and this has been said, well, many people have said it, but we know that people who own large companies in the United States, especially hotel owners or people who have meat, chicken, pork, or beef processing plants, they need cheap labor. So the Biden administration was basically, as they say, providing extremely cheap labor because all these big companies don't want to pay Americans a decent wage and give them the necessary benefits so that they do a good job. So we're going to bring in millions of semi-slaves because we're going to pay them next to nothing. Let them in. Who cares if they come in illegally? Who cares if we have to put them up in hotels, no matter where they come from or who they are? But they'll have people, cheap labor. In other words, we're talking about a huge irresponsibility. And now we know that among those people who came in, many are bad people. That is, people who already had a criminal record. Really bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that several of them were caught for rape, that as soon as they came in, they raped some girls. And then there are the ones from the Tren de Aragua gang, and then the ones who were released from prison. Maduro let people out and told them, go straight to the United States. In other words, the worst kind of people. So now that President Donald Trump is finally back in office, it is once again entirely up to him to diligently clean everything up and restore order to the nation.
Yeah, I mean, what President Trump's administration or the current Republican government is doing
right now
is simply enforcing or implementing the laws that were already on the books. In other words, the laws that were already
written. But he's cleaning up the mess that Biden left behind.
So for us as immigrants, as Latinos, and what I'm about to say also has to, I think I can include the vast majority of immigrants who already live in the United States. And we are responsible people. People with families, people who go to work. From our perspective, we Hispanics do not agree with the current federal government, in this specific case, the Democratic government, simply letting millions of people in as if they truly do not care about the impact. I mean, at the end of the day, it represents a significant and deeply concerning lack of respect for our nation and its citizens.
Not caring about us, who contribute to the country like us, who are entrepreneurs. And there are a lot of decent people who work hard like us, who are paying a ton of taxes. And that Biden administration failed to consider the well-being of any of us, not even in the slightest possible way, because they were just recklessly distributing and handing out all that money. Now you see what happened in Minnesota, robbery after robbery after robbery with daycares, supposedly daycares and medical centers, and it was all just lies. To put it in other words, all those people are getting much richer by using our money.
And another thing I want to mention is that I know a lot of people, specifically the ones out there protesting right now, confronting ICE agents, say, oh, poor immigrants. But one thing they don't seem to consider is that if we just take, let's say, let's start with Mexico, since it's the first country south of the United States. But if we then continue with the rest of the continent, we know that at least 10 to 15% of the population in Latin America lives in extreme poverty. And I use those figures because I know the Mexican government has reported those numbers. I mean, it's not something I'm making up. So if in the country of Mexico we have at least an average of 120 million people, we're talking that if we take 10%, if my math is correct, we're talking that just in Mexico there would be 12 million people living in extreme poverty. What does it mean when we say extreme poverty? People who maybe don't have enough to eat every day, or people who maybe who only have 1 meal a day, or who don't have enough to pay for electricity, rent. Obviously, they don't have a car. Of course not. So if you say, well, let's help the poor people of Latin America, then does that mean we have to take at least 12 million from Mexico, about 5 million from Central America, and then the rest from Latin America, which would be approximately 400 million people, inhabitants? So we're talking about another 40 million people. So we're getting close to 100 million people who are in extreme poverty. I mean, if the ignorant Americans from the United States, when I say ignorant Americans from the United States, I mean those who are out protesting, those who say, poor thing, we have to speak up, we have to support them, we have to support poor people, immigrant people, and they go and interfere with the work of the agents. So I think to a certain extent, these people are unaware, they ignore the reality. I mean, maybe a percentage of their feelings is good, which as a human being is a good thing. But at the same time, they have to think that the United States does not have the responsibility to to lift these 100 million people out of poverty. Exactly. You know what I mean? I mean, every country, in this case, Mexico, the rest of Latin America, every government has the responsibility to do that for their own people, Well, you see, I was also seeing that the president of Mexico is giving away barrels of oil to Cuba, giving them away. Just think about it. As if there weren't poor people in Mexico. There were no poor people, yes. In other words, giving them things. And now that President Trump has cut off what Venezuela was giving them, he said, and according to what they said, oh, well, the Cubans are going to have a hard time soon. And of course not, because the president of Mexico is supplying him with oil. And you said to me, how is it possible that I'm giving it away? Well, yes, I mean, how is that possible? Then yes, I also said, well, I say the same thing. How is it possible to be giving it away when there are so many people in extreme poverty in Mexico? Yes, I mean, every government should be responsible for its own people. Exactly. And I know there's a lot of corruption. There are a lot of people in the government of every country corrupt. So that, except in Bukele's government, yes, I mean, they're doing a great job nowadays. But in my view, as someone who cares about other human beings, as someone who doesn't want to see, I don't want to see another person suffer. You know what I mean? But if I were in power and could to some extent have an impact on this country's future decisions, like how immigration laws are going to be made, if the United States needed more people, more labor, more people to come work in the US, First, I would advise that such a system be put in place. I think it already exists, but to implement it on a much larger scale, where people would go to submit an application at their embassies from each country, provide their name, their address, run a background check to ensure they are not people with a criminal record, people with good morals, people who are coming to work, and if they have an education, even better. But simply put, what the Biden administration did is detestable. I mean, it's disgusting. And the worst part is that they said it with such a serious face. That is, oh no, the border is closed. I mean, what a disgraceful bunch of people. And when we went to Nogales, there were lines and lines of people waiting to get in. And it was because the Biden administration had said, you know what? Yes, and many of those people, I remember one day when we went to Nogales, I think we talked to 2 or 3 people, and they said, yeah, no, because Biden told us, they said that we should come, that the border was open for us. And yes, just as he said, everyone who could came over. So, and what's happening with the deaths, going back to what we started talking about this second death? Yes, what's happening? Not just in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, but also in other cities where people who have nothing to do, who have no purpose, aside from the chaos they're causing, it's simply the result of what the Biden administration did. I mean, one of the purposes, we're talking about the reasons why they did it. You know that. The Democrats know that when a Republican government comes in and starts enforcing immigration laws, they automatically use the word racist. I mean, Trump is racist. The next one is racist. Vice President Pence is racist.
You're racist, I'm racist. Anyone who says they're in favor of what President Trump is doing and who says you have to respect federal agents, just by saying that, they already label you as racist.
I mean, for them, for the Democratic government, or for me, because even now, the Democratic leaders, even though they're not in power, but the leaders of the Democratic Party, you can see they're happy with what's happening. Oh,
of course, because they're really going after Trump, as they say, with everything they've got.
Their goal was to create chaos. The more conflict there is, the more violence, the uglier things get, the better it is for them. Why? Because they're going to use it
to their advantage in commercials. Against, yes.
In television commercials.
To make President Trump's administration look bad. Just like what they did during the coronavirus. I mean, it's the same thing. They're doing the same thing.
Yes, and we also know that in certain states, especially in California, they've passed laws where no one has to show identification to vote. So when you bring in 100,000 people, 1 million people, or 5 million, and you put them in the voting line, they're going to vote for the party that's giving them money. Of course, the party that's giving them free food, the one that's approving things for them, the party that paid for their hotel for free. In other words, they're buying them, the one that gave them the card with money on it. In other words, they're buying votes by letting millions of people into
illegally, basically. Because they know that the people who live here, we know, thank you, who's who. So they need new people they can manipulate and control as they please. Unfortunately, that's it.
But we truly know that people like us, honest and hardworking people, the millions of us who now, at this very moment today, have established families here. We are immigrants ourselves, and we simply don't support. We don't support that specific kind of immigration. How do you say it? It is completely out of control. It is happening so recklessly. Recklessly, just so it benefits. So it's for the benefit of the government, in this case, the Democratic government. So we really feel sad about the deaths of these people. Of course. It really bothers us.
We feel powerless because we can't do much.
But yes. But at least to raise our voices.
And say what we really feel.
Yes, that the agents, as federal agents who are enforcing the law, have to do it. Even if there is danger in the streets, even if there are consequences, they have to do it. Because just imagine, what if the federal agent said, you know what? There's too much violence over there. We're not going to do that anymore. So that would mean we're going to become a state, how do you say it? Anarchy? A state where
the strongest wins.
We will not be a nation under the rule of law, and we will no longer be a republic.
No order, no law, basically like animals.
Like animals, I mean, we're talking about, no, if that happens, then watch out. You'd have to carry a machete, a gun, whatever, just to defend yourself from all the crazy people out there on the streets. So for us, we support security, we support
LAIs, the federal agents who do their job. Unfortunately, it seems that there are quite a lot of crazy people wandering on the streets.
Crazy and without benefits, without any good purpose to do something beneficial for the community. Like I said, we're here at Opinión Latina 100%. Thank you. With law and order, we are making absolutely sure that this country, which has been great for many years, continues to be great because it takes people who have courage and ability and not people who are afraid to enforce the laws as they should be.
Exactly. So thank you very much for watching us.
Each one of our
guests fell asleep. Hey,
come on, wake up. Say
bye with your dad.
Goodbye, friends. Goodbye, goodbye.
Oh, how cute. The button twirler woke up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And here, until next time. Until the next Latino Opinion.
And don't forget, or
please don't forget to give us a big like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. Thumbs up? Yes, thank you.